Hey everyone, I am here today with Matt Deal from Eating Baltimore, and I'm stoked to chat with him because he just started. He'll be a good person to learn from who's already in the game but still at the beginning. Plus, he has a lot of experience with newsletters in general, which I think we'll get into for sure. So, yeah, stoked to have you here, Matt. Thanks for jumping on.
Thanks, TJ. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, why don't you give everyone a little background about you and where you maybe mention a little bit about the newsletter, non-local newsletter side, and then
Yeah.
how you got into doing this local newsletter in Baltimore.
Yeah. So I've been in the newsletter business since 2016. I have worked at within the like Agora companies that are like financial newsletter publishers. I think Sam Parrs maybe talked a little bit about them, but at one point they were the ones doing, $1 billion a year or whatever in financial, I guess, financial research pretty much. So I was doing email development and marketing for them for a couple of different companies under the like Agora umbrella up until 2020. And then I've been working at a small batch wine club that's like quasi affiliated with the Agora uh, financial newsletter sphere, pretty much. So for yeah, almost I guess 5 years or so, um,
Nice.
been running the marketing for this wine club. And yeah, so the financial newsletters, it's all subscription based, uh, and been in that for quite a while. So that's kind of how I broke into marketing and newsletters.
Nice. That's okay. Awesome. So when did you start your local one and when did you know about
Um,
this idea before you started it?
yeah, I had been following like I my journey of kind of making money online as like a solopreneur has been sort of a roller coaster, but I've been following Ryan from
Hmm.
Naptown Scoop for a while.
Hmm.
Um, there were a couple of instances of trying to kickstart a newsletter. I took the Baltimore area has like multiple restaurant weeks, and so last year it was I took their restaurant week guide and just made it basically a lead magnet and ran ads to that,
Okay.
and built a subscriber. It was like a thousand subscribers over the course of maybe like a month. Um, I have tried also doing like a golf trip newsletter, and using
Mhm.
like a gift card pretty much as a lead gen or for an ad. Similar to kind of what I started with Eating Baltimore. It's the original ad started with win a $50 gift card every month or something like that.
Oh, really? Okay, this is interesting because I think a lot about gift cards and giveaways and
Yeah.
whatnot. So you were running an ad that said have a chance, basically something like have a chance to
Yeah.
win a $50 gift card.
Yeah,
Okay.
version one was win a $50 gift card every like have a chance to win a $50 gift card every month. And I combined um, the subscriber ad with also a like ad for the page, because at the beginning I was like, all right, I've got I want the Facebook page to have some substance to it. And
Hmm.
so I grew that in combination with the newsletter. The likes got to about 4,000 likes. So I paused it at that, and then kind of solely focused on the Beehive subscriber ads.
Is this when did you start eating Baltimore officially?
In March.
March. So are we
Yeah.
talking about doing this in March or around that somewhere
Yes.
around that time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The beginning process was like ads combined with the gift card
Okay.
um, ad, and the gift card ads were like, I don't know, they started kind of at 50 cents per subscriber, and they started growing to like closer to $1. And after a while, it was honestly after kind of finding the local newsletter space and seeing what other people were doing. I got served so many ads of local newsletters just by happenstance, or I'd see them in like the algorithm on the
Mhm.
Facebook feed, and started kind of looking at people's Facebook ad libraries, and kind of made my own ads for the Baltimore area.
You're talking about after this was after you tried the gift card ones?
Yeah, so the
Oh,
gift
okay.
card ones, I was like, all right, there's got to be kind of something else, and I kind of just happened upon some other newsletters.
Mhm.
like Captain Yar and his
Mm-hmm.
Fort Myers brief and Naples brief. A lot of those kind of came from that inspiration. Um, and then so I turned off the gift card ads and I stopped mentioning like the gift card at all in the email because at one point I was kind of using it to beat some of the churn, like stay on and you have the chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's brought it up, and that's kind of been sort of forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I'm only focusing on the subscriber ads right now.
Okay. Okay. Nice. So, um, tell me a big picture. Like, why did you start this again? You come from the local newsletter
Yeah,
space. Um, why are you doing this? What are your bigger picture goals?
yeah, I think it's like twofold. I love Baltimore. Many moons ago when I lived in Baltimore City, I was trying to do like a Instagram influencer almost, where we had trouble, like when my friends and I lived down there, we had trouble like knowing what happy hour deals were happening at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And so I was like, oh, great, I'll just connect with restaurants, post their happy hour deals. Well, it is like unbelievably difficult to keep up with like small restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of fizzled out. And then, a couple months ago, I was uh, sort of diving into the SEO space. I had done that in the past, and I happened upon like a restaurant directory video, um, and so I kind of ran with that and actually built it in Replit. So I was doing multiple things kind of at once, testing out multiple things at once, and built it in Replit for like $6. Pulled pulled this restaurant directory from Outscraper, all the restaurant data, all from Google Maps, and then just kind of threw it up onto the site. And that kind of started the beginning of it. And I was like, oh, okay. I sort of, I know newsletters, and let's kind of build this into something a little bit more monetizable versus just a almost like a just a website. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that sort of started it. And yeah, I think the bigger picture of it, I mean, I think Baltimore is like a foodie city. And there's for it being such a small city, there's always events and stuff happening. Um, and people love all their food, crab cakes and football. And so yeah, the goal really is to kind of like build a community around it outside of monetizing it and making money from it. I'm hoping to kind of just build a community and get people connected and get them out and doing stuff and supporting local restaurants and businesses.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. As far as monetization, is that
Yeah,
something that how do you think about it? Especially obviously we all know short term, you're still kind of new at it. It's really difficult
yeah.
when you're small, but do you have plans in terms of monetization, as you grow, maybe a year in, or how are you thinking about the monetization?
Yeah, I think at the beginning part of it, I'm just trying to get, a sponsor, somebody an advertiser to put up onto the newsletter. I think big picture, like there's some space for like local coupon books. And I think that can be, not reliant on businesses to kind of see the value in the newsletter versus like providing value to your subscribership.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it's along the same lines of some other newsletters, like uh, traditional kind of media and the way that businesses are advertising on billboards and the Valpak um, is kind of fizzling out, and there's so much more value in this like uh, digital space in a newsletter, and also kind of being able to track your ad spend and stuff like that if you're a business. Um, So I think I'm kind of going down the traditional space of like, all right, let's find somebody that sees value in this medium. Um, Whether that's like, some of your other episodes, people talked about like a med spa or realtor,
Mm-hmm.
um, luxury home builder, stuff like that. I mean, I think the value proposition is similar to like if you're working in SEO, like, okay, you're paying me $1,000 a month, but I'm going to get you to in the local map pack. and you're going to get 10 times whatever the revenue versus what you're paying me. So um, I think there's a similarity there in, hey, if you get one client for a high-end realtor, like that pays for, what would be an annual sponsorship. So
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. My partner who's doing some calls for me, he just even mentioned this morning, like what, at least in my area, the cost for some of these other things is so outrageous for these, realtors specifically. Um, and our model is, it's still expensive, relatively speaking, but
yeah,
cheap compared to them. Plus the exclusivity being a key, right? We just have kind of a different model. But to your point, what these
yeah,
business owners are used to just isn't really working anymore. And it feels like it's just inertia, right? It's like, well, this is
hmm
just what we've done. We've been putting ads in the Valpak for 10 years. We've been doing that local magazine that goes to
yeah,
1,500 homes because it's just what we do, instead of like looking and grasping a completely new concept that's probably significantly better, but it just takes real energy and brain power for them to figure it out. Most of them just, it's inertia, right?
yeah, yeah. And honestly, I think it's like the people like some of these businesses, especially in Baltimore, there's like a couple businesses in each industry that kind of dominate the space. Like plumbers, for example. I used to work for a local plumber, and there's one plumber that like, spends $20,000 in Google ads and Facebook ads,
Mm-hmm.
in billboards. They're all over the place. And until some of these other businesses start to see like the kind of leader in the category doing other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for them to kind of grasp like the value of like being the first to market with this, being the
Mm-hmm.
first in the space to this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true. But again, also the good news for us, unlike the magazines and stuff, is we do have limited space for advertisers, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, we don't need as many. And maybe, yeah, it's going to be harder, but to find those ones that are willing to try the new thing. And when they
Yeah.
hear exclusivity, I know the realtor who we talked to this morning, that was their biggest thing, right? Is okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
my big competitor was like, okay, well, they charge a ton, and I'm just going to be right next to 8 other realtors in the magazine. Like, there's no value for a realtor like that. But in ours, being exclusive, that's very valuable to them, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it's a different concept to them too.
mm-hmm,
And I think you're like it's a value add to just be like, oh well, I'm gonna be the only
that's right.
person in my industry in the space.
Because it's not really feasible for a magazine to do that because they have so many slots they got to fill. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to give exclusivity, right? So
Yeah.
we actually turn a relative negative of limited space into a positive with exclusivity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy, even in like I've tweeted about it a little bit, but even in um like local websites where they're selling ad space where it's just like an image or a banner, there's multiple people in the same industry in that space. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I don't see exactly how you get the value out of that, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think they probably don't. They just, small business owners just aren't that, they're not that savvy. They're not that good at this stuff. So they just kind of go with what feels right to them. And then they don't understand metrics and tracking. Right. So,
yeah.
um,
Right.
that this is the biggest downside of this model, right? Is we're selling to generally unsophisticated business owners. And that just comes with that's the negative that comes with such easy and cheap client acquisition, right? It costs us
Mhm.
50 cents or less to get a sub.
Right.
But so it sounds great, but it's just so hard to monetize them because of that problem, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Hey, one thing I want to make sure we get to. So let's talk about it, even though it's a little side tangent, that something you're doing, because
Yeah.
I just got off with Alec Kremens, who his episode will be up by the time somebody hears this. They should listen to it. He works at Beehive, but when I
Mhm.
asked him at the end, one of his biggest pieces of advice for people was to build in public. And
Yeah.
so I think that's how you got on my radar, right? So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about how you're thinking about building public, or, if you've done it before, but just generally, why are you
Mhm.
doing that? And what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I have not done it before. And I think Ethan that you had on the podcast was talking about being like a watchpreneur and like kind of just sitting on the sidelines and kind of consuming content. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got just to the point of where I was like, all right, let's just give it a shot. We have a mutual friend in Mark Velasquez with the Fold,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and he kind of built his Twitter following. I'm just kind of building in public, and so I sort of tried to follow that idea. And it's almost to me, I think I'm trying to be almost like, relatable to like there's the local newsletter or newsletter business in general. There's a lot of people trying to like get into the space, and I think just like showing that kind of anybody can do it. I've got a 9-month-old kid. I'm also working a day job, so I think it's almost my attempt at like making it more accessible for people, and kind of just not taking it too seriously. Like I think it's going to be uh, it's funny to me at least, like when I consistently say like zero sponsors, like it's I know it's a long game, but it's like, all right, we're gonna eventually get there. Hopefully Twitter will the newsletter Twitter will celebrate once we get to one sponsor. But yeah, the goal of it is really to just try and be relatable and show people that it can be done regardless of the your situation. You don't have to just be like a 20 something year old that can go out to events and do all that stuff, because yeah, at the current moment I don't have the time to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, totally. No, I just think when Alex said it, and again, you're a good example. I'm, I guess, a good example trying to do this too.
Yeah,
I was the lurker forever, right? It's like, oh, these are,
yeah.
I knew about the local newsletter thing. I was following Ryan. I don't know how I stumbled across him a couple years ago, and I
Hmm.
didn't pursue it. I was doing some other stuff, but obviously wish I had when I first ran across him. But it's people like Ryan's a good example of he just building his thing in public and has been for a couple years, and there's so many instances of that in every industry, and it's because most people are afraid to do it. And
Yeah,
I think this is a great space to do it, because it is so, like, most people aren't doing it as their primary, like you, right? You're kind of doing it on the side. It's kind of a fun project. It can still be a success even if it fails, right? Because you build community, you learn a lot, you meet a lot of people. Like, you still win even if you lose, per se.
yeah, right.
um and then I think more people should just be sharing about this stuff. I mean, I think the thing that I'm still stunned by, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but Billy Howell, he was on my
Hmm.
show. He's in the group, and
Yep.
um, he's been mostly, I think he mostly now talks about AI stuff, understandably, because it's
Yeah,
starting to get attention. But he was on Greg Eisenberg's podcast the same
yeah,
week as mine,
yep,
and I'm pretty sure the reason is he did something cool, and Greg was like, "Oh, that's cool. Come talk about it."
yes,
Right.
yeah,
So if Billy had done that really cool thing but didn't put it online, I mean, it would have nothing would have happened. But now
yeah,
he's on one of the biggest business podcasts in the world, and he was also on
yeah.
the best one, which was mine. Um,
Exactly,
but
yeah.
anyway, so
I've you're right.
yeah.
Like I have attempted to do different entrepreneur solopreneur stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and up until now, like it hasn't been a great success. The local SEO that I've done has been with another business,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't talk about my experience, and so this has been kind of like it's almost like a constant push to like actually do stuff and take action too, um, because if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't have kind of the momentum to try and build momentum of like doing stuff every single day. And it kind of, I think it
Mm-hmm.
in the past for me, it's fizzled out. And so I think this is just kind of pushing me to take action and make constant improvements and try different things on it, but also like if I don't tweet about this stuff, I probably am not on this podcast. I haven't connected with some of the cool and interesting people that I have on Twitter, and so I think it's that plus like everybody kind of helping each other and giving feedback on different things that they're doing. So
Yeah, totally. Plus, whenever when you're building public, it changes how you think about what you're doing, and it
hmm.
actually encourages you to do more, because then that's content, right?
Right,
So, and then
yeah,
this also works in the local newsletter space, right? It's like, okay, if I go to the event, or if I go to this restaurant or go to this thing, that's content I can create, which then makes your newsletter better, which then makes you more excited to go do things. And it's that
yeah,
flywheel of do more, create more, and then you're creating more content, which is especially valuable for us because of AI stuff. You
yeah,
want to be creating your own content, not just summarizing other people's content, because that's not a good long-term strategy. So, um,
yeah,
yeah, I love the idea of like building public on Twitter as like on the business, but also build in public in the business, in your
Yeah,
newsletter, on your social media.
I was gonna say like that's I think the next step in my progression of I mentioned this the other day of like I've been trying to build, AI avatars so I can kind of bulk content creation, but after trying like for a couple of days straight and it ends up like, I take my face in ChatGPT and it gives me somebody totally different. Hey Jen, it's the same sort of thing. So it really comes down to just like sucking it up, doing it, and like if
Mm-hmm.
it sucks, great. But it doesn't really matter because you know people are seeing your face, and 9 times out of ten, like somebody that's not in the uh, newsletter Twitter or small business Twitter or whatever is going to be like, oh, this is interesting. Like
Mm-hmm.
the person subscribed to my newsletter is going to find it interesting versus like somebody that's been in marketing for 10, 20 years be like, oh, that kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Okay, tell me a little bit more because I've had a bunch of people ask and are excited because I have Tim Stodds coming on later this week. Tell me more about the directory that you've done. Like, first of all, where is
Yeah.
this at? You said you built it in Replit, which is cool. Like using
Yep.
these new tools to build these things. Um, are you like pursuing this? Is that live? Are you doing it? Where are you
Yeah,
at with the directory?
it's live. It's eatingbaltimore.com.
Okay,
And it's I have like 2,000 Baltimore area restaurants on there.
and this is all from scraping,
Yeah, all from
right?
scraping. Um, and so I really just like,
Oh
with
yeah, this
Replit,
looks great, dude. Holy crap!
thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody go to his website, eatingbaltimore.com. Okay, go ahead.
I took a screenshot of another directory that I liked
Okay.
and put it into Replit, basically said like, "Hey, this is what I'm, gave it what I'm thinking, what I want it to look like. Spit that out. Like I said, it cost, I think to build it initially it was like $6, which when you think about what it would cost to build without AI, with a developer, and especially my knowledge base of coding, I know just general HTML, CSS, that would take me months, if not longer to do. So yeah, I built out the directory, really tried to make it like SEO optimized for there are pages on there like top restaurants in X neighborhood.
Hmm.
Um, so currently it is I just checked yesterday, like the site, the traffic on SEM Rush is up like 100%. I think I'm getting like 167 hits per like averaged out month. Um, the domain authority actually went up from like 2 to 7, which was nice to see. Um,
Okay.
what I did was, and this is credit to another guy on Twitter, Jackie Chow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he had this idea of like a restaurant award. So what I did is I just again went on OutScraper, pulled all of the restaurants in like the general Baltimore area, grabbed their email, put them into cold email automation, and said like, "Hey, you've won a top restaurant award, voted on by our readers, and then let me know if you want it." And they reply back. If they reply back, I send them a link to just a badge to put on their homepage or on their site with a backlink to Eating Baltimore.
Dude, this is interesting. Okay. I like this.
So it's
Okay.
kind of just like a backwards, I guess a reverse engineered way
Yeah.
of like building backlinks.
Okay.
You can call it maybe scammy and nobody voted on the award, but um, to like for the backlinks for the site,
So
and
that helps you backlinks to Eating Baltimore, not to their
right,
website. Or
yeah. I
yeah.
mean they have an award, great. Like that, I'm sure people will see that and be interested. Um, but yeah, it's specifically just to build backlinks to Eating Baltimore.
Interesting. Okay. And I see here you have the top five on the site, say editor's pick. Is that
Yeah,
like meant is the idea there that these would be like paid slots?
ideally, yeah.
Okay.
I'm still kind of like that campaign in instantly is still kind of running on a slow drip um, to get more backlinks. But yeah, ideally it would be. I'm almost seeing it as like an add-on to the newsletter advertiser sponsorship
Mm-hmm.
package. Like hey, we'll
Hmm.
feature you on our website at the top, whether it's a restaurant or even a business. I've been thinking about adding like sponsored businesses to a small section at the top there too.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of really acting as like almost just really an SEO play, trying to get people onto the site and then get them to sign up to the newsletter.
Yeah. Dude, this is sorry. I'm like thinking through how I just want to chat with you and not be on a podcast right now. Have you help me through this because this is really cool. The one thing I'm looking at, I'm curious how you think about this. When I see these, it looks really good. Like
Hmm.
I don't know how to do design, but I think I'm pretty good at like seeing it. I think this looks really good. But if I like this restaurant, Jimmy's Famous Seafood,
Hmm.
it doesn't open. It's like the only thing is it just goes to their website. Is there a plan for
Yeah.
like, or an ability for restaurants to have their own page? Like I would think that
Yeah.
how's that?
And yeah, that's a good point. Initially, there was a when I first built it, it was like you click to another page and that it's just specifically the restaurant page. And
Okay.
I didn't want it to get like too bulky, so I was like,
Okay.
let me just make that link go to their site.
Okay.
Um, excuse me, thinking about it now though, like working backwards, I think like having restaurants claim their
Mm-hmm.
business is like the sort of the way to go. And that if I could, you could probably go back onto Replit and do it pretty quickly, um, and just make a bunch of new pages, and those pages would be indexed and everything like that, which would help SEO. Um, but that would be a good strategy to just basically say, come out to restaurants and say, hey, have them claim uh, their their restaurant listing on the site.
So yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm not. You're clearly know way more than me about SEO, but I would imagine if they had their own page, they claim it right, and then they have their own
Mhm.
page. That then I know this would probably be difficult at the beginning, but then if you had reviews on there, again, you're essentially trying
Yeah.
to make your own mini Yelp, right? And then
Yep.
it's like, okay, hopefully tell them like start sending this out on your social media and send it to your newsletter, uh, your clients to get them to fill it out and give you 5-star reviews, right?
Yeah.
And then uh,
Yeah.
it sounds good in theory. I don't know if that would work in practice, but
No, I think it would. It's kind of for me, it's kind of like taking a little bit of a like it's going to the back burner for the like to build a newsletter.
mhm.
And it kind of just it kickstarted me to like eventually get to the newsletter piece. Um, but there's definitely a place for it because um there's so many like small niche sites, local sites in the Baltimore area that are charging businesses like 49 to $199 a month just to be listed on their directory. And so like I think there are businesses that are willing to pay for that. So it can almost be like its own sort of monetized thing. Um, but there's definitely businesses interested in that.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes back to what we were mentioning before about this is the kind of thing that because directories have been around for what 15 years or more.
Yeah.
Businesses, these small businesses are already used to paying for directories, right? So now
Yep.
you're not trying to introduce anything new, or at least it could be your foot in the door, right? It's like, okay, let me
Hmm.
try to sell you something that you're already familiar with that makes sense to you. And then by the way, I also have this new newsletter idea and here's why it's great and blah blah blah. So yeah, no, I think it's really good. And I think you really I've been playing over the last week. I played with V0 a bunch, which
Hmm.
I haven't used Replit much in the last month or two, but V0 seems to be the best from my experience so far. But knowing how what you just showed me, like how good this can be, and you've got it, it's live, it's real. This isn't like, sometimes you get these Replit or V0 things and you're like, this looks really cool. Let me try to like make it real. And it's way too hard or complex. It's not
Yeah.
now, right? I mean, I launched something on V0, wasn't as hard as I would have thought.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Billy's content on
Mm-hmm.
Replit, and I think he's kind of like a Replit. He's like the OG, one of the OG Replit guys,
Mm.
and that's kind of how I first started with Replit. I hadn't used anything else, and so far for me, it's like super intuitive. Like it has the agent that builds everything plus an assistant, and so the assistant is almost like your it's like a Q&A like product manager sort of that helps you out without without it edits the code and everything like that. So to me, from everything that I've seen, like they're on the sort of front edge of uh, building and helping people like go from 0 to 1 for these sites.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for anybody listening to this who hasn't used one of these tools, so the big ones everybody talks about is Replit, V0, Lovable, and Bolt. Those are the four big ones. And Google
Yeah.
actually has Firebase Studio is free. So actually that might be they all let you play with them for free for a minute. I think Firebase Studio is just like totally free. Um, you should play with these things. I'm telling
Yeah.
everybody listening to this should do it because at worst, just understand where technology is today and like have a grasp of it. You don't want people like me and you to just be like, oh, there's this thing where you can build apps. And you're like, oh, okay, that sounds cool, but I don't know what that means and I don't care. Like you need to
Mhm.
know what's possible, right? I always feel like too many people just they think they know because they've heard of it instead of like actually playing with it. Like you got to play with it.
Yeah. It's to me at the beginning when I was first watching videos on it, it's almost like it seems a little bit too intimidating. But then when you get
Mm-hmm.
in there, after I think for somebody that has uh, done a lot with ChatGPT or Claude or anything like that, it's pretty similar. It's really just writing a prompt, like you're almost brain dumping. Actually, you're probably better off brain dumping what you want. You
Mm-hmm.
get a better product than just being very vague.
Yeah,
And so it's super easy to just brain dump something and then come out with like something as a sort of a V1 that's then you can go back to it and say like you can almost brain dump again and get an even better product.
totally. I mean, here I'll just give my quick process for anybody listening. I can't remember if this was on the show before or not, but what I did. So this thing that I built in V0, which was like replicating a $100 million+ company. And of course, it doesn't work. You know, it's just the design and the feel, but it's literally significantly better than this company. And it was in one shot. And the
Yeah.
way I got it in one shot, this is what I do. And again, I think it works. If somebody has a better way, please tell me. But I go into ChatGPT o3 and then I brain dump into o3 and I say, well, first thing I say is, hey, my goal is to build an app in an AI app builder to do blank. And then I literally talk
Yeah.
or type for like 4 sentences, 5 sentences. I'm trying to do this. Here's the problem I'm solving. Here's what I must solve. Perfect plain English, like no effort at all. Literally, you could just talk into it. It might be
Yeah.
even easier. And then I tell it, write a detailed prompt for the AI builder to build this thing. Then it will spit out like an insanely complex prompt. And then I just take that prompt and I go copy and paste it in V0. Like that.
Yeah.
So essentially, what I'm saying is don't talk to V0, talk to
Yeah. Yeah.
ChatGPT, get ChatGPT to get what you should tell V0.
Yeah.
Again, it's
That's a
working
good
for
point.
me. That may not be the best way to do it. I just know it works for me. And I think it makes it less intimidating when you can get this prompt that looks like holy crap, this is incredible. And it's like, yeah, you just talk into ChatGPT for like a minute.
Yeah. I should clarify. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's exactly what I went from um chat GPT and it's basically saying like brain dumping in there to then saying, hey, give me a like a PRD for this. And like give me the scope of work and everything like
Yes,
that.
exactly.
And then paste the scope of work into Replit. And
Mm-hmm.
then Replit even gives you like it'll outline the plan and then it'll give you extra features. Like, hey, maybe
Yeah, yeah.
you
Do you
want
want me to build
this.
this too?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Totally. Yeah, V0 does it too. Yeah, that's super cool. Oh, final quick thing for anybody, and I'm so pissed. I should have shared this here. I shared it in one of my dad groups. And of course, you know how when you share something really smart and you don't do it yourself, and then you're like, why am I such an idiot? If anybody doesn't know who Lenny Rachinsky is, do you know who that is?
No.
So he's like the biggest business blogger, podcaster for like product managers. And so he did this thing, which by the way, I am working on trying to figure out how to do this in the local newsletter space. Very like obviously difficult, but I think there's a play here. He has such a big audience of like all these companies' ideal clients, right?
Mhm.
He created so he has a paid newsletter, it's $200 a year. So like $20 a month, less than that, right? He went to every company I've just mentioned and said, give me a free year of your paid plan for my subscribers. So if you had subscribed, now four of them sold out. Replit was one of them, unfortunately. But you got like 10 softwares. You still can get this. You only get 6 now instead of 10, but 10 softwares, paid versions, all for basically the equivalent of $18 a month. You got Replit, Lovable, Bolt, V0, Notion, Superhuman, Granola, Linear, and there's probably one or two more I'm forgetting. All paid versions, all for 180 bucks. So, sorry, quick advice. Even though I lost the replit and whatever, I still just signed up and it's still awesome. So, anyways, check it out. His website is lennysbundle.com, and you can get all these cool tools for 18 bucks a month. So, anyway, um, that's
It's hard to keep
really
up.
cool. It is because even with the ones I have, it's like sometimes you want to test these things against each other, right? It's like, oh, well, how's Bolt going to do compared to Replit, and then that just takes up a lot of brain power. So not sure I recommend that, but it's fun to do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, okay, cool. Well, Matt, tell me like, so you started March. What is it? June. So a couple
And
months
yeah.
in. Um, how are you feeling about it? Is there anything that you kind of wish you had done at the beginning? Is there anything you're wanting to do now that like you just feel like maybe you don't know enough about to do, or how are you thinking about being 3 months in?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good. We're almost about to hit. We're gonna hit 5K subs tomorrow.
Okay,
Um,
awesome.
so
5K in 3 months. Yeah, that's good. It's really good.
yeah, so um, feel good about that. I've actually gotten some good feedback from subscribers about, like, hey, this is great. You're curating uh, all the events and stuff to do on the weekend for me. Either like I just moved, or I'm want to do stuff with my family, stuff like that. So it's been good to get that kind of feedback. And I launched the second secret whatever newsletter as well. So we're at like 1,600 subscribers there too.
What do you
Um,
mean? Tell me about that.
yeah, I launched. I tweeted about it the other day. I launched another newsletter, another local newsletter in another area. Same
Oh,
sort of rollout, except without the directory and everything like that. Really just because I saw let's call it success in terms of getting new subscribers and this being like something that people are interested in and wanting. And I saw kind of the opportunity to do it in another area, a
mm,
smaller space. Baltimore has like, I don't know, 800,000 people in it in that general area. And this one has like 50,000 or so. Um,
you're saying you launched the second local newsletter? Is it in Baltimore, like Baltimore adjacent, or is this just like
yeah, Baltimore adjacent.
Baltimore?
Yeah.
Okay, so you launched a second local newsletter. Is it called Eating? Like it?
No, it's not. It's one of the things that I definitely kind of not kicking myself about, but I probably should have branded it differently other than Eating
Yeah,
Baltimore. Um,
I was going to ask
Something.
you about that because yeah, you did kind of put yourself in a box there, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but I've tried to kind of work around that with like uh the list of events kind of having like food and drink, art and culture, music and entertainment, so that it kind of like a lot of the events are based at restaurants or breweries or wineries, stuff like that. So it's still kind of food and drink in that same genre. And we highlight a restaurant, we highlight like I started doing the date night spot of the week
Mm-hmm.
um, that I saw from Scottsdale Scoop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the classified ads that I saw from your newsletter. So that actually a lot of those got clicks, which is great.
Oh, nice.
Um, but um, yeah, the Eating Baltimore, it probably should have been, something more like local and less specific.
Mm-hmm.
This one is more local and like almost like a just newsy, um,
Mm-hmm.
local newsy instead of just food and drink.
So, how are you thinking about that in terms of the upside? There's upside and downside, right? I'm doing two.
Yeah.
I have more than two, but even just my own personal ones, I have two. It's just a lot more work, right? It's like okay,
Yeah.
there's potentially more upside there, but it's also a lot more work. How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I think it's so far I've like almost rolled it out as like a system of like what I've been doing with Eating Baltimore of kind of curating the events, um, curating the different sections within the newsletter. That has kind of stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that sort of format that I have has been getting decent feedback on like, oh, this is great. I've loved this restaurant spot. Or people have been, I'm sort of judging the success by the amount of clicks that links are getting and the interest in an open rate and click rate that the email has. So in terms of like the content creation, it's kind of the same for me. It really like it takes me maybe like an hour and a half to like be like, okay, I'm this is a good newsletter. Like I would be happy with this edition.
Hmm.
Um, and the ads are kind of the same too. Like I joked that I copied over an ad from Eating Baltimore into this one and left the background sound on, and it was seagulls in the background. So that's been playing for a month, and it's still brought in. I think our ad, the conversion rate for the ad is around 55%, similar to Eating Baltimore. So,
Yeah.
but I've actually had more interest faster in terms of like events, people emailing me or submitting events, and also sponsorship. I have run ads to sponsor the newsletter for Eating Baltimore, and I've gotten a couple of people interested. I just had a call the other day about an HVAC guy looking to expand in Baltimore. As opposed to the other newsletter, I've had people submit in interest via like a Google form from just my editorial, like weekly emails. So I haven't done any um, ad specific to sponsoring the newsletter there, and I've already had a couple people write in saying they'd be interested.
Hmm. Yeah. Sorry. So are you saying you have not done any like proactive outreach?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Okay. Is that
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Is that are you planning
Um,
on it or
yeah,
how
I'm
do you?
planning on it. Yeah, planning on it outside of really just having the note in the weekly newsletter, and then also um, I found a couple of sites that are doing the same thing, like the local directory where businesses are being listed. Actually, interestingly enough, this town in this area has a bunch of, not a bunch of, a handful of Facebook pages that are just Facebook pages, and they're getting sponsors on the Facebook page.
Hmm.
So it's a much more um, involved, like group sort of space for these pages and these groups, as opposed to eating Baltimore, like the Baltimore area Facebook groups are pretty much terrible. So this one being like a smaller, more local town, they're definitely more engaged. Um, I have posted, for example, like I post a just an Instagram reel of all the events that are happening, and it's just a background video of like a drone shot, and then all the events that are happening during the week or on the weekend.
Just in text on top of the video.
Exactly. Yeah. Here are the best events
Mhm.
happening in the Baltimore area. The Baltimore one gets like 150 to 200 views on average, like 500 is good. And I cross post them into a bunch of the groups. I think Facebook lets you cross post like three. I did the same exact thing for the other newsletter, and on average, they're getting like 1,000 views.
Really?
Yeah, 1,000. I think
Wow.
2,000, 2,200 was the most I got. Um, so it's definitely like the engagement is a lot more present in these groups, and
Well, it's funny you say that because I think about this a lot in terms of value prop. Like the value prop of something of what we're doing for the readers is so much higher the smaller the area is.
yeah.
Right? It just makes sense because there's less options for them. They're probably in a smaller area where there's less information just in general. Where like Baltimore, like you said, there's so many places to get information about Baltimore,
Mhm.
right? But there's not in these smaller areas. So they like it even more and they're going to check things even more and give you higher everything in terms of engagement. But then, of course, the ability to monetize is significantly smaller. So, as
Yeah.
always, there's huge trade offs there.
Yeah.
So, but that's good to hear that those people love it. So again,
Yeah.
maybe you can really make that work, even though it's small, if you find the right businesses that want to get in front of that right small audience.
Yeah. And I think the like the engagement from on the like the subscriber side, there's definitely much more interest in like supporting local for a smaller town than there is for like Baltimore, such a big, for the most part, such a big town. I've gotten less um, less emails from them saying like talking about just feedback about supporting local businesses versus the small town where the local businesses versus like chains and bigger business, those local businesses are kind of like the heartbeat of the town.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So
So,
yeah, I think on that side, like it's definitely there's a little juxtaposition between the two, big city versus small city. But then like, it's great. 1,600 subscribers or whatever, been launched like a month. But the name of the game is like, can I get my money back? Can I at least break even or get some
mhm.
ad spend for the future? So it sounds great. I'm not getting my hopes up. I don't want to like jump for joy that I had such a good launch, but
Mhm.
it's really just like finding somebody to sustain me or to like get me back to break even and then kind of help sustain me in the
Well,
short
I
term.
would think for what you're doing, I wonder if I assume you've thought about this, but if you could find somebody almost if you want, I don't know if this is in your model, but like to partner with, right? So the obvious answer is a
Yeah.
real estate agent, somebody who's already out and about town. They love to meet with people. They're connecting all the time. They're used to doing social media content where you could kind of say, yeah, I'm going to spend the two, in your case, the acquisition on Facebook and you know how to create the things, Beehive, right? This is
Mhm.
completely foreign to these people, but they know how to go out and meet people around town. They know how to make content. They want to go meet with the business owners and film the restaurants and things like this, and just have them essentially like have them take it and run with it. And you just kind of
Yeah.
do the back end stuff.
Yeah, I haven't really thought of that. It's
Yeah.
almost like a mini brand ambassador, except it's like a partner pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, I wouldn't say, well, I guess one of my partners, that is kind of what we're doing actually.
Mhm.
Um, even though that wasn't the original plan. He just liked it so much. He likes
Yeah.
going when he goes to restaurants and filming them and telling it, his favorite barber that he's going to put him in the newsletter and film a video for Instagram and stuff like that. I think there is it's going to be hard to find those people, but if you find one, they're going to love it.
Yeah.
So that may be something to think about, for somebody doing this on your own with just one newsletter. Like, yeah, you want to have your own as your own, but if you're
Hmm.
launching more than one, you probably might want that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
something
That's a
to
good
think
point.
about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the funny story with this newsletter, I reached out to the little outreach that I've done. I've reached out to a guy that was a realtor that was um sponsoring another like local directory. And like I can see it's public forward facing on their website, like how much this person
Yeah.
is paying
Oh
for
yeah.
a sponsorship.
Yep.
And I kind of asked him about it, and he was telling me he's tried a lot of different avenues of advertising and hasn't seen too much return on it. And he's spending close to 10K, right? And so I brought up our current subscribers, and he asked me how many Facebook followers I have. And it was like, I think I've got like 150, 175, something like that. And he was like, oh, well, I've got like 14,000 Facebook followers. And I'm almost like a mini influencer. It's like, oh, that's great, awesome. And I took a look at his page, and he hasn't posted on there since February, and his engagement is like, two, three, four likes on a post. And so I think that just like goes to show the disconnect between like, okay, this guy thinks that he's got this huge following on Facebook, and 0.05% of people are actually like engaging in it, and he's getting like a very small reach compared to the newsletter.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, totally. I mean, one of the things people need to be aware of too, as far as competitors, and when you look at this stuff, is it's not hard. I don't know all the details, but like you can buy, you buy likes, you buy
right. Yeah.
followers, you buy these things. So when you look at somebody who has a lot, look at the engagement they're getting, and if it's low, it's probably because either they're fake or it's so old and like it's dead. What value is there in that, right?
Yeah.
Other than to just say like he was excited to tell you he had this big number, but the reality is it's not of any value, right? If you're
Right.
getting six people to like one of your posts and that's it doesn't matter if you have 100 or 14,000, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
interesting. Cool. Well, hey Matt, this has been awesome. Is there anything you want to leave anybody with? Any thoughts or insights?
No, I think it's been an interesting journey. I really like cannot emphasize enough like the building in public.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about. I think if you're kind of on the edge of doing that and you're kind of building in the shadows, I just think that there's not much bad that can come from it, from putting yourself out there. So I mean, everybody, we're in the newsletter space, and people have plenty of great insights and stuff like that. but I think the building a public for me has been such like a driver of success so far for me
Mhm.
that that's kind of I'll get on a pedestal and talk about that for a while. So
I love it. I think there's so much value to keeping yourself motivated, yourself on target. I just saw a tweet. I forgot the number, so I could be off here. But one of the things a lot of people think about, and you probably good to talk about this too, is like, oh, well, I don't want to write about not doing a good job or failing or something not working. And it's like, that's actually the stuff that's the best because it
yeah,
makes you the most human. It shows that you're trying things and not everything works. You're not just one of these people posting how great you are all the time, that there's so much value in that. It's funny. There was an extreme example this weekend. Some lady posted a picture of her in front of a book in her bookstore saying, "I did a private." Did you see this?
yeah, I
I
saw
did a
that.
private book.
Yeah,
I did a private signing of my book, and not one person came. And a bookstore, stayed open late for me, and not a single person came in. And guess what? That tweet goes everywhere. And how many people probably bought her book on Amazon because they saw that? And that negative tweet may have just changed her career and definitely made her thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And of course, you're
yeah,
not going to do that most likely, but the concept is still valid, right? That posting losses, posting things aren't working is really valuable. I think you specifically when you post like, "Oh, I tried this and it didn't work," or I wanted to do this and my kid got in the way and all these things, like I don't know, it's valuable. It's like it's just a person sharing what they're doing and
right.
not somebody just showing how great they are that I'll never be able to replicate. So good
Yeah,
job on that.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell what is your handle so people can
The
follow
hand real Matt Deal. D-I
real.
real, yeah, REAL Matt Deal DIEHL.
Okay,
I'm
awesome.
not
We'll
sure.
put
I'm
it
not sure why that was funny to me at 18 years old, but there
stuck
we
with
go.
your
Yeah,
18-year-old choice.
yeah.
Okay, nice. Well, hey, at least you're on Twitter at 18. Um, cool, man. Well, this has been awesome. Everybody check him out, follow him because he's got a lot of good stuff on there. And yeah, appreciate you, Matt.
Thanks, TJ.
All
Appreciate
right.
you. Take
Yep.
care.